Hello.
Hiya.
Welcome in the flesh.
This is nice, isn't it?
That's nice, isn't it? To Record Sports Hotline Live,
Weird.
brought to you by NordVPN.
Get out of my room.
Hi, I'm Daniel Conn. Delighted to be joined by Scott McDermott and Keith Jackson in the flesh. How's it going, guys?
Incredible, isn't it? I mean, you two don't come anywhere near this office on a daily basis for months and months and months at a time. And then what happens? One little mention of a possible World Cup pre-planning meeting, and in they come. In they all come. Now you're even sitting in my seat.
Listen,
Important business.
Exactly,
You
aye.
need to be here. You need to be here.
see when it comes to the big story, they need to draft a nail list.
Aye.
Exactly.
Do you want to tell our little...
Of yours.
Well, I think they're more than just viewers.
Oh,
aren't
they're part of the family.
Yeah. Well, do you want to tell them the good news?
We're all going to the World Cup.
We are.
I know.
Isn't it?
It'll be great.
Fantastic.
So basically, you're going to get Hotline Live on the road trip, American road trip version.
US hotline stateside.
Brilliant.
So it'll be brilliant, eh? It'll be absolutely fantastic.
Can't wait.
We Scotty unzipped.
Sing the Blues already saying I can see Keith and Scott playing footsie under that table. Can you just confirm that?
We Scott's legs don't reach that far.
Alex only touched the floor.
Rebel says it's like the school dinner table and Dan serving. Aye. And Badger says season takes another dramatic twist. There's 3 in the studio.
This is a twist.
That is a big
Nobody
twist.
saw this one come.
Aye.
There was more people would have put money in hearts to win the title than for us 3 to be in this room at the one time.
Aye, that's a fair point.
Anyway, I'm glad that we can bring our community with us to the World Cup.
Absolutely. See, all joking aside, see the guys that are here basically every night, the guys like that I mentioned, Rebels, they are brilliant. They are the lifeblood of the show. I'm trying not to sound too patronising.
You are
horrible.
sounding really
I
patronising.
know. I don't know how else to articulate.
And,
They're brilliant.
and basically you're saying to them, so pat in the head, you can sit at home, we're all going to the World Cup. Nice of you, Dan.
Aye,
Oh, you're all heart.
You're making it sound as if I've only got 6 viewers.
Aye. But no, what I was actually going to say is without them we wouldn't be going. You know what I mean? If there wasn't an
That's right.
audience. Aye, you know what I mean?
Without the community.
Aye, so thank you, everyone.
Johnny.
Aye. We'll have a beer over to Gianni. Gianni's not been in a while, actually.
Johnny, Rangers easy okay. Johnny been saying that he was getting text messages for Rangers easy okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think he was lying. Usually does.
Who'd have thought we'd be on Germany for the Euros?
When it all began.
Launching Hotline Live.
That's
Sunday
right.
night.
That's when we started.
Launched Hotline Live, three men in a bathtub,
Yeah,
basically.
2 beers. Basically.
People asking, is Mick Gannon going to the World Cup? It's not made the squad.
This
Sadly not.
Sadly
that's
not.
a sore one.
Aye.
That's a sore one.
Gordon says he'll see us at the World Cup, lads. There was actually Chris Fraser who writes him was offering us a place to stay, if you remember.
Yeah.
And I think one night he actually wrote after, I'm serious though, if he's wanting to stay. So, listen, you never know.
No, he was only serious with you.
Aye, with me.
He offered us a camper van at the back or something.
This is actually my first sort of proper trip, working
In
here.
the studio.
Into the studio as well. But we're going to talk about news and all that. We're going to talk about the guys' team of the year.
We're just all excited because we're in the same room.
It's like a sleepover, isn't it? We'll come to that.
They sleepovers in America. We're not sharing that. We need to make that clear.
There's no sleeping in America by the sounds of the work schedule we've just been hit with.
Well, that's what I'm coming on to. You mentioned to me there, Keith, in our meeting, you've got as many as 10 domestic flights. 10?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, how can it? But it is 10.
Thanks, so innit?
10 flights in
I mean, that's pretty mental.
10 flights in 25 days. We've got.
That is a lot.
That's a lot. But listen, we're prepared to go the extra mile.
Exactly.
Your low Muppet says we'll be back after game 3. I doubt that. I think we'll get through. That's for another day.
We need to send for more underpants.
Definitely.
Remember you and Garmish? Yeah. Running about trying back.
I ran out of boxers. I was doing the H&M. I was doing queuing up in the morning trying to get boxers.
Got the wrong size now.
Of all the problems that could happen.
Cutting about like Keith Lemon.
Because he'd put his clothes into the laundry and the bill came back and it was about $3,500.
Who was it? It was a colleague of ours with the spaghetti. I know we're massively digressing. But I think it was Craig Swan. He went away and he ordered spaghetti and he thought it was really cheap.
He was in a hotel in Russia, I
He
think,
hadn't done the conversion.
and he figured out that he couldn't believe, because Swanee's not a big eater really, prefers liquid kind of meals. So he's in this hotel, really kind of top class hotel. Can't believe how great it is, and then finds out that for room service you can get a spaghetti bolognese delivered to the room, and it's only £3. Swanee can't believe it, so he's there for about a week, and every night I'll order that spaghetti bolognese. Absolutely. Then he realises in the last day of the trip he's done the conversion wrong. He was hit for about £40 a bowl. So anyway,
The paymasters were.
we're doing the show.
Aye, let's do the show. Where should we start then? We often talk about Ryan Stevenson, our weekly columnist here on Record Sport. He rarely fails to deliver, and his column tomorrow's no different, Keith.
Packs a punch. Yep. It's quite a good one actually, because obviously, you know, there's Hearts have got the weekend off. They're away in Spain. Rangers away in Spain. They don't have Scottish Cup duty to worry about this weekend. So I think they've got a little bit of time to take a breath. And I think that was the whole point of the column, which will be in tomorrow's newspaper and online. There's a little snippet going up of it tonight. And it'll be on the back page of tomorrow's newspaper. And he's basically calling for fans of Hearts, Celtic, Rangers, get a grip. Get a grip. Stop this overreacting to everything that happens. Stop calling for the heads. We've had people in here, Hearts fans, saying they have to get rid of Derek McInnes or they'll not win this title. It's too negative. Stuff like that. Stuff like the Celtic fans questioning Martin O'Neill and then saying that Callum McGregor should be taken out of the team, and stuff like Rangers fans at 2-0 at Falkirk at the weekend. Rangers will go 2-0 down. There's a knee-jerk reaction. Get Danny Roll out. He's saying everybody just needs to take a breather, calm down. And he's very good in some of the stuff that he said, you know, in terms of, I think there's one line where he says, look, do you want to read it out?
I've got them up there. I mean, on Derek McInnes, potentially people calling for him to leave if he doesn't win the league. He says, I've one simple question for anyone at Tynecastle who thinks that'd be a good idea. Are you drunk? And on Callum McGregor, he says he should always be in the Celtic starting 11 as long as he's prepared to play through the pain barrier. He's one of the real Celtic players they've got, in a team full of donkeys. He's their best chance of somehow getting over the line. Team full of donkeys, a wee bit harsh. It's not a classic Celtic
I think
team, but
he's been fairly clear on what he thinks of this Celtic team for a number of weeks now. And do you know something? That's hard to make much of an argument. Look, we'll have an argument, because later in the show we'll also talk through our team of the season so far in the top flight. So I get his point. I get his point in that, you know, Martin O'Neill is trying to cobble a team together week in, week out. It's been miraculous. I told you I did the calculations a few days ago. Martin O'Neill, over his 2 spells as Celtic manager, has won, I think, around about 82% of the points that were available to him in that period of time in both periods.
Yeah.
Now, Wilfred Nancy's return was 33%. And Brendan Rodgers, before the Honda Civic broke down, was 64%. So when you look at stats like that, it tells you that Celtic are nowhere near this. And actually, Ryan goes a little bit further than that and says, if it wasn't for Martin O'Neill and the likes of Callum McGregor, Celtic would currently be sitting in 4th place, out of the title race, and probably sitting behind Motherwell. And I don't think that's an unreasonable. You know, when you look at when you look at the percentages and what Martin O'Neill has done, it's incredible that he's got such a run of results out of a team which I think even Celtic fans mostly would put their hands up and admit this team is not fit for purpose. It's not a proper Celtic team. It doesn't compare, shouldn't be compared to any of the Celtic teams over the last 20 years or so.
And we should say comments are coming
Apart
in.
from maybe Ronnie Dylas.
Aye. Comments are coming in. If you want to get involved in the conversation, please do so. We'll have the guys' team of the years later, so let us know what you think of that as well. Already, Gavaldo says, I'm any Hearts fan who goes to games that wants or has even discussed anything about sacking McInnes. But as you said, Keith, we have legitimately had several fans on here that said, look, if he
And-
doesn't
and-
win a league, Tony Bloom's going to want a more sophisticated coach. I mean, that sounds mental to me, but
Yeah, well, I mean, I think one of the guys that was on was actually saying we won't win this title unless
I
they
think it
sack
was.
Derek
I
McKenna.
think it
I
was.
mean, it's extraordinary
Mhm.
when you think about where Hearts were,
madness.
where they are, and it's just that. But we did say, I said to you, Daniel, weeks and weeks ago, as this kind of climax was nearing, that people will lose their stuff, and you'll get all sorts of silly responses and kind of knee-jerk reactions, and that's where we are right now. If you know, I don't know what the general online reaction to Rangers going 2-0 down was at the weekend, but if there were people saying that Danny Rowe has to go, that's as crazy as anything.
Aye.
That's fans, though, isn't it? I mean,
That's the way it is
part of the
nowadays,
fun.
isn't it?
But that's Ryan Stevenson's point, is to the three different sets of supporters, get a grip. And I think he's perfectly entitled to say that.
So I was just
No,
going
go
to
on.
say, just on Callum McGregor. I mean, I know we touched on it last night, but can you imagine a Celtic team without Callum McGregor?
Oh,
I mean, where would they? Who's running that dressing room? Who's the leader on the pitch? No, who's cajoling people? I mean, if he's not there, you think the guy's missing as well, like Johnson and Carter Vickers and that. Even Schmeichel, to a lesser extent,
Aye.
being a big,
He was part of the
big
leadership.
character,
Yep.
big character in that dressing room. Without Callum McGregor, as you say, that Celtic team, I think they'd be further than the league for certain.
John in the comments says it is the irrationality of football fans in Scotland. You can say that again. Badger says McInnes must be doing something right. I've never seen so many people wearing Hearts tops.
Was this a
That might have been an odd, actually. I might
Aye.
have walked right into that one. And McKenna says that he wants a statue for McInnes. Forget sacking him, which I think if he wins the league, he'd be well entitled to ask for
well,
it.
listen, let's try and I know that we can get caught up, and you can get sort of lose sight of reality and where you actually are in the kind of bigger order. But Derek McInnes is trying to do something, and is now 5 games away from becoming the first man since Sir Alex Ferguson to take a team from out with the Old Firm to win the top flight in Scottish football. That's the scale of the achievement. So see all this, people giving him a hard time, saying he's too defensive, saying that, you know, Hearts aren't going to do this until they get a manager that takes a handbrake off. It's a nonsense. Hearts really need to appreciate what they've got this season and who's enabled this to happen, who's put the hard work in. It's been Derek McInnes and it's been the players. And the Hearts fans as well have come along for the journey, and they've been there and they've turned Tynecastle into the sort of place that Derek McInnes... Remember Derek McInnes' first press conference when he took the job? He made a really great point. He said, there are too many teams that come to Tynecastle and say, this is my favourite ground to play at. Because it's a great atmosphere. And more often than not, they can come, enjoy a good atmosphere and take 3 points away.
Take a selfie in that.
I want Tynecastle to become a place that everybody says it's the worst place to go in Scottish football. And he succeeded. And that was his first sort of aim that he set out for the players, and he has succeeded. See, from now on, yeah, you're going to get a great atmosphere, and it's a good... Players aren't going to want to go. Celtic players, Rangers players, I don't care who you're from, you're not going to look forward to going to Tynecastle, because you know what the chances are you'll be doing really well to come away for that place without dropping something.
Surely if there's anybody doubting Derek McInnes or saying, we need to be more expansive than that. So what do they expect? So what's got them into this position?
Just
First
abandon
time
it.
in 66 years they could go and win a title. So you say unbeaten at Tynecastle. Are they suggesting, nah, we need to rip that up? I think we need to be a bit more attack minded to actually go and win it. That's what they've done is got them into this position, which is totally unprecedented.
Do you know what it is? It's because there's been a kind of string of 1-0s.
Aye.
And do you know what? Hearts fans, rather than being, critical about that, they should be thrilled about it. Because these are the games that previously Hearts were losing 1-0 or 2-0 or drawing 0-0.
Aye.
And it's this ability to sort of recharge, go again, get over the line, whatever it takes to get over the line. And the game at the weekend was a perfect example of that. Well, Motherwell, a right good Motherwell side, turn up at Tynecastle. Everybody's put a red ringer in that potential game as a really difficult one, and Motherwell could go here and really throw a spanner in the works. And yes, they almost did. But Hearts found a way to get over the line, and yes, 2 late goals. But if any Hearts fan had been offered a 3-1 win over Motherwell a few weeks ago, they would have
No.
snapped anybody's arm off for it. So-
McKenna makes the point. We lost our main striker. One of our wins were excellent. Main
Exactly
striker,
right.
main midfielder as well. We're actually getting a lot of comments in about Hearts and the title race that I want to throw at you guys in a wee minute. But see, just on Callum McGregor, you mentioned Scott. We talked about it last night. I don't want to get too caught up in this again. But Green Machine says Callum doesn't owe Celtic anything. If anything, Celtic owe Callum. As Keith said, he gave up international career to concentrate on Celtic. And Marzuno says the same people yapping about McGregor have convinced themselves that Yang's a player. Just on McGregor, there's been stories going about today that there might be more interest from Saudi. Maybe he's interested in going. There's a wee bit of me thinking today, see if I was Callum McGregor, you couldn't really blame him if he went, you know what, I'm 32 now, big payday, something different.
I tell you what, he might be getting fed up reading people
Aye,
criticise
that's what I mean now.
for what he's given to Celtic, the performances he's put in, the trophies he's won, the service he's given. As I say, he's still only 32. Look, we mentioned it last night. I think it's going to be really interesting what happens with Callum McGregor in the summer. I think Frank McAvenny said yesterday he thinks he could go to Saudi with Brendan Rodgers, and who knows, there might be an offer there. Brendan's not doing really well in the Saudi league. They're just kind of off the top. He might no doubt they'll add players for next season. Maybe Callum McGregor's on that list. It's the type of move you could see happening if Callum McGregor was of that mind. And you said it last night. His natural instinct would always be to stay at Celtic because that's his club, that's his home. Don't doubt he would want to finish his career there. But if I'm in Callum McGregor's shoes and you're actually getting criticised for performances, when you look at this Celtic team, this squad, what he's given to it over the last 10 years, whatever it is, he might just feel, you know what, maybe I've had my time, maybe it's time to do something.
And John makes the points in the comments that when Scott Brown was in his last life, Celtic already had McGregor lined up as a replacement. Poor recruitment from Celtic this time means there's probably no one lined up if he was to leave.
It's interesting you say that because I've spoke to people and it's a brilliant point. Celtic have been so lucky, I think, to have Scott Brown and then a successor in Callum McGregor.
Is that luck? Because Callum McGregor was clever enough when he was coming through to look at Scott Brown, to identify his qualities, to think, whatever this guy does in the training ground, I'm going to copy it.
Yeah.
And Kieran Tierney did the same. If you remember, you used to get the shots, and it's December at Lennoxtown, up in the campuses, and the snow's coming bucketing down, and Scott Brown runs out for training with a short sleeve t-shirt on. And then Kieran Tierney starts doing the same. These guys all learn the qualities, the leadership qualities from Scott Brown, and were clever enough to say, I'm taking that on board. I don't think it's happened by luck or by accident.
No, but what I mean, fans are lucky that they've had guys like that there. If you look across the city at Rangers, since I'd say like Barry Ferguson, for instance, I don't think Rangers have had that. I think they've suffered as a result. Celtic, even when Celtic haven't had many tough times in the last kind of 10 to 15 years in terms of winning trophies. But whenever there's been dips or ever there's been any doubts, they've always been able to rely on a Scott Brown, a Callum McGregor to keep things together, keep the dressing room going.
Again, that didn't happen by accident. If you look around Lennoxtown, whether it's the staff, whether it's the coaches, whether it's the people who are working around the groundsmen, the kitchen staff, Celtic have created an environment where and it extends inside the dressing room in the shape of Callum McGregor, James Forrest, all these guys, people who actually live and breathe for Celtic, and it's come about over an extended period. It's Scott Brown's and all these guys that have come through around about a similar time, and that's deliberate. That didn't happen by accident.
Yeah.
That was, and whereas, you know what, because Celtic have been so successful, there's not been the calls for a big clear out every summer and another purge here and get this one out.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been able to build this more settled environment. And it means when an Alistair Johnson comes in from nowhere, having just pitched up in Scotland for the first time, see, within a couple of days, you're interviewing Alistair Johnson and he totally gets it already because he's surrounded by people who get it. And it seeps into the mindset. Rangers have been clear out after clear out after clear out. There's nobody there. There's no continuity. There's no continuity. there's very few people who are actually around the thing who represent Rangers Football Club the way that a Barry Ferguson. And I tell you what I would say about it is Andrew Kavanagh has been very, very shrewd over the last few months, having come in and sort of thought, right, rebuild and we'll start from scratch. And if you remember, how many times did I use the phrase, it will get worse before it gets better? Yeah. And it was Kevin Thelwell, and it was this one and that one. And they just kept on moving further and further away from the identity of what Rangers are. And I think Andrew Kavanagh took a few months to realise that this was a misstep. And see, over the last 3 months, 4 months, maybe 5, whatever it's been, I think there's been a deliberate attempt to reach out and to reconnect and to speak to people that know the club and to bring and try and recreate the environment that was there previously. Now, Rangers are having to do that to a standing start, but Celtic, it's in the brickwork. It's in the foundations at Lennoxtown.
But if Callum McGregor goes,
you could be starting to move into a similar period.
That's the danger. I think. I know Kieran Tierney's still there.
Mm-hmm.
James Forrest, but how long is he going to be
there? James Forrest might be away at the end of the season. I think that's why if McGregor goes, it'd be a huge blow to Celtic for so many reasons. The stuff on the pitch we've talked about, exactly what you're talking about there. I think if Callum McGregor's to leave that Celtic dressing room, leave the club, leave a massive void there, and I'm not sure there's guys, unlike when he was able to step into Scott Brown's shoes, I don't think the same will happen again.
Well, you will have, because you'll have guys that have been in there and worked with him. And your Alistair Johnsons,
that's not the same.
Your Cameron Carter, no, but I'll tell you what the difference is. The difference is they'll be inclined when the big offer comes this year, next year, whenever, they'll be off. And but before you know it, you've got a dressing room of guys in there that, no, I didn't work with Callum McGregor. So it's all alien, and then you need to try and find a way of spreading the word again and showing people what the DNA of the football club's supposed to be. Rangers have made that mistake, and that's why we were talking about it last night. And I said, if I was taking over as Celtic's new manager in the summer, first conversation I need to have is with Callum McGregor and say, I can't do this without you.
That's it. Did Brendan Rodgers know that with Scott Brown as soon as he got the job?
Exactly that.
Invited him down to his house.
Exactly that. And when he came back for the second time, first person he wanted to speak to, Callum McGregor.
Yeah.
A few people in the comments saying I'm breathing like Darth Vader into the mic, so apologies for that. On McGregor, Paulio says, I want Callum to get us over the line and head to Saudi for a few years and fill his pockets, and all Celtic fans should thank him and wish him well. Marzuno points out we paid a Scottish record fee for Brown. McKenna wants to know who we'd have as the next Celtic captain. Gavaldo says McGregor needs to move for his own sake to show he can do it in another club in another country.
McGregor, if he goes to Saudi Arabia, he's not going to be proving anything to anybody.
Aye, I know.
We're not going to be seeing it.
He's done it in Saudi Arabia though. Hugh throws the cat amongst pigeons, says Callum McGregor isn't anywhere near the level of any Rangers midfield in this moment in time.
Any Rangers midfield?
It says midfielder, sorry. And Tony Kelly says Raskin's the best midfielder in the league by far. What do you think of that? Oh, sorry, just to finish. Jimmy says he wants KT, Kieran Tierney, to take over as captain, and Rebel echoes that as well. She says next Celtic captain, player of the year for Celtic for me this year, Kieran Tierney. Interesting shout. But
it's the automatic choice.
You would need to take over as captain.
Of course for captain, aye. But I mean, interesting for player of the year. But McGregor nowhere near any Rangers midfielder.
Well, that's a nonsense, isn't it?
I love Callum McGregor, Mohamed Diomande, for instance, or Conor Barron. I think
it's just silly.
It's a bit wild.
It's a silly thing. Look, Raskin on his game, and I've said it, and I make no apologies for saying it. I've said it over an extended period, probably the last 12 months or so, and I don't think he's been great this season. But when he's on his game, I think he is the most complete, the best midfielder in Scottish football. I don't think that Rangers have had enough out of him this season, because he seems to be satisfied with playing this number 6 and convincing himself that all I need to do in a game is split the centre halves and build out from the back. See, when you get Nico Raskin playing the way that Nico Raskin played at the weekend there, that's a player that's the best centre midfield player in Scottish football. But Nico Raskin needs to be convinced of the fact that he's a better player when he does that in the Rangers shirt.
On Ryan Stevenson's column, Alex writes in saying, Ryan tells the fans to stop slagging people off, then he slags the Celtic team off calling them donkeys. Maybe Ryan was polishing all his medals when he's making silly hypocritical statements. Ryan, get a grip. And there's a couple of other comments on Hearts in the title race. Hugh again writes in saying, Rangers will beat Hearts. How much do you want to bet on it for charity, guys?
So the one for you, Scotty.
Fiver.
I've got a fiver.
So I can afford.
John also has asked several times, do we think Celtic would lay down to Hearts and take third to stop Rangers winning a league? I only ask it because I'm just a messenger, guys. John's asked that a few times. And also, if I can find the comment, Craig wants to talk about the Tynecastle allocation. He says it's no different to what it's been recently. Hearts have sufficient demand for their own fans. Why should they give up home support space for more than 600 tickets? Also significantly less a proportion than the return game is in Glasgow, and that's obviously, 18,000 Rangers fans applied for tickets to Tynecastle.
18,000?
Apparently,
That was ambitious.
567 tickets is what they've got. I'll bring this up because Craig says it's no different to usual. In the office, I said to you guys, I didn't realise it was that little. Normally, it's not that they've cut it or anything. It's been that way for a while.
Well, this has been a trend over recent seasons where clubs which had previously basically thrown open the doors of their own stadium to bring in as much cash as possible on match day, if Celtic and Rangers were coming to town, have taken a different view, and quite rightly, in my view, in many cases. St Mirren, for example, the perfect example, where they were just throwing the stadium open. Celtic and Rangers would roll into town, three sides of the ground.
It's like a mini Ibrox in Park Edward.
More often than not, they'd walk away with all 3 points, almost always. And then St Mirren said, no, let's try and make this a hostile place for them to come. Let's give the fans, our fans, their places. Let's cut the visit and allocation. And look, I don't know how it's worked in terms of St Mirren selling out their three ends of the stadium when Rangers and Celtic come. I actually don't know.
Did St Mirren though say? I think the way they worked it was they basically went to season ticket holders and said, look, we want to cut the old firm allocation, but to do that, we'll maybe to make up for the loss in money.
Offset it with an increase in
the season tickets. St Mirren fans said, "I go for."
McKenna also says Hearts have also stopped away fans getting corporate tickets for the remaining. But how would you stop that? Listen, who do you support though?
That's an issue. Guy phoning up for Glasgow going,
hello.
Putting on an Edinburgh accent.
And by the way, what I want is can I have salt and sauce with the chips in it? It's not going to. That's a difficult one.
Exactly. How do you? I just thought it was interesting, but I think you both make good points.
No, but the bottom line is look at St Mirren's results against the Old Firm since they've done it. I think if you study the stats, you'll see I'm pretty sure there's been a pretty big uptick in it. And I think the St Mirren fans, the guys that are paying to be at St Mirren week in, week out, they're grateful for the fact and enjoying the fact that they're not made to feel like strangers in their own football stadium whenever. So, look, do you know what? I've got no problem with it. And what we're asking here, are we actually saying that Rangers fans have got a right to be annoyed because Hearts, who are above them right now, going into the last 5 games of the season and think that they've got a chance of winning the title? Did he honestly expect Hearts to go, right, sorry, guy, we had a good run. It was a good run. It's a good run. We'll sit and watch this one down the pub. You guys pile in.
Aye.
Of course it's not going to happen.
Aye, of course. Aye.
It is what it is. It's not ideal. But, the clubs have got every right to look after their own best interest and the best interest of their supporters.
Absolutely. Plenty of comments coming in. Peter writes in saying Miguel Chaiwa dominated Callum McGregor at Celtic Parks. No wonder Celtic bloggers are trying to link Celtic with Chaiwa. That brings us quite nicely, guys, onto the team of the season. I think I asked both the guys here for their Premiership starting 11.
Just before we go any further, can we just clarify something? That you asked us to do this at about 10 to 6.
The excuses are coming in already.
We didn't have a great deal of time.
It was quick, but I would say I actually thought when
I'm happy with me.
when I was putting the graphics together, I thought to myself, I would just basically be the same 7-8. It was actually quite a big difference, and the guys went in separate rooms and all that and took it dead seriously. Should we start with your team, Scott?
Go for it. Why not?
I put it up on the screen now. For anyone that's struggling to see it, although it's up there. You've got Callum McGregor goals.
Yep.
You've got Philip Lisa at right back. Fernandez and Finlay as your centre halves, and Milne at left back. Milne of Hearts, of course.
Well, look, the goalies. I don't think any goalie's really been outstanding this year, but Motherwell's clean sheet record
It's incredible, eh?
The run of clean sheets that they had, and he's obviously been key to how Askew wants to play out. So he's been as good as any. I mean, listen, Schwolo's been good at Hearts, but it's had a couple of mistakes. Jack Butland's actually been decent for Rangers as well.
Actually, Jack Butland was really good earlier this season.
People are saying Butland was Rangers' best player this season, but again, he's had a few that you'd expect him to save. So no, I'm happy with Callum Ward. Lisa at right back. Right back was tough, Jacko, wasn't it?
Had to be creative.
Yeah.
Lisa's the one, every time I see Falkirk, he really impresses me. He's really good.
Brilliant. On loan for Swansea, I think bigger clubs will be looking at him. He's played every position across the back for Falkirk. But he always plays. They've actually got a brilliant right back in Keelan Adams. But Lisa's no jump ahead of him.
Midfield, Raskin and Devlin as your sort of two.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry, go on. Sorry.
We're just going through Scots and
Scott's team and then we'll come to yours if you want. Unless you want to do it differently.
No.
He's such a prima donna. Is he going to be like this in America? The two holding, Raskin and Devlin as your sort of two holding, and Benjamin Negrin just in front.
I knew Negrin might be slightly controversial, but his goal return, I keep saying this on here. I mean, Celtic fans.
Hold on. Who's your other sitting midfielder?
Cammy Devlin and Raskin.
Yeah. So that stuff you were just saying about Callum McGregor, he's no making your
No, not this season.
Right. Can he take him out of the team?
No, he can.
Just say that.
Can he? But he's not been as good
He's
as
no making your team.
He's not been as good as Cammy Devlin or Raskin this season. And look, we had to do it quick, as you've said. Elijah Just's really unfortunate. Not again, I have to make that point. But Negrin, as I say, Celtic fans they've been critical of him for whatever reason. They don't feel as if he's contributes enough in a midfield three. I just think purely for goals for midfield, how can you
19 now?
How can you leave him out?
And then finally your front three of Braga, Shankland and Mazwanisi.
That was probably the easiest. But Mikey Moore's unlucky. He's been really good at Rangers for an 18-year-old kid first season. But no, Braga's arguably been the player of the season. He'll be in contention for Player of the Year awards. He's been a revelation at Hearts. Maswanisi's been vital to Motherwell. Brilliant goal return. Again, can play through the middle or wide. And Shankland, as much as he's had an injury, obviously he's now back. But his influence on that Hearts team at the start of the season to get them into the position that they're in. And even since he's come back in the last couple of games, he's immediately impacted games and had a big saying game. So I think the front three pretty much pick themselves, unless Jacko disagrees.
Well,
I do.
Let's move on.
I love. I see what I love about what you've just done there, right? As you've said, so here's my team here. Callum McGregor's sensational. No, he's done. And then what you've done is you've given name checks to about 10 other players, so that it looks as if.
No, Moore and Just.
Incredible. You know what you've done there.
Honestly, I'm happy with that team.
Singing the Blues predicts Keith's team will be 11 Hearts players. I don't think it will be.
No.
Because I've got it here.
Yeah.
Let's put it up on the screen.
Don't know if you've got my formation quite right.
Okay, well, let's...
I might go the John Barnes 4-2-2-2.
Interesting. Well, we've got Callum McGregor goals. You both agree on that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, look, I agree with Scott. If you look around, Jack Butland's been really good, but he's not been first season Jack Butland. I think he's getting his form back and he looks far better, far more comfortable, but there have been mistakes along the way. Listen, there have been mistakes with Callum Ward, but that's been more to do with having to adapt to the role that Jens Bertascu is asking for him to play. And to be fair to him, what an effort he's made. His distribution has been top class, and he's made a lot of good saves. And I would give an honourable mention to McCracken at Dundee, who I think's been excellent every time I've seen him.
I think statistically he's made the most saves this season, McCracken.
Well, there you go. But Callum Ward, for me, had most clean sheets. Or is it the most?
I think Motherwell.
Extraordinary record. And I just, what he's done by putting another string in his bow in terms of the way that Motherwell played the game, I think that made him the obvious choice. The not so obvious choice at right back was Stephen O'Donnell, and mostly because he's been playing as a centre back for so much of the season. But he's so versatile. Many times have you seen, and this is a guy, by the way, that most people had down as a bit of a journeyman. You get into the Scotland squad, the set up for the Euros when we went down to Wembley. Thought he was terrific there. But he's just one of these guys that people thought that was his absolute peak. And in terms of what he's done in his career, it probably has been. Then you see this Stephen O'Donnell at his age going into this new way of playing football at Motherwell. He's been a sensation. And I've lost count of the amount of times you've seen him hitting 40-yard diagonals into the box, picking out Maswanisi and all that. So for me, I'm moving him back to right back.
Right, okay.
Because I was struggling a bit. I think your shout was a good shout, but I think that's not a bad shout.
You're right about O'Donnell. Most people thought he was done.
Yeah.
He's excelled. He's excelled in this system. It's been incredible.
He's nearly set life.
Then I'm going Halkett and Fernandes.
Yep.
Halkett for me has been, I think, I didn't want to break up the partnership with Finlay because Finlay's been brilliant, and there's a balance there left side.
There's a toss-up for me between the two of them.
Halkett and Finlay have been, the absolute rock that Hearts have built their season upon. Halkett, I think, is probably the most unlucky player to not have made that recent Scotland squad. I'm struggling a little bit with it. I really thought that he deserves a consideration for the World Cup squad. I think he's been absolutely superb. Fernandes, self-explanatory. He didn't start the season particularly well, but he's become such a threat in both boxes. Defensively, a lot more secure than he was. And even when he came into the team at first, he was a little bit problematic at the back. What he offered in the opposition box was almost impossible to defend against.
I think he could make Rangers a fortune. Sorry, I'm digressing.
No, it's interesting that we're hearing now, John McGlynn let slip about likes of Feyenoord and a couple of other European clubs. Leverkusen. People are watching. I think that's where the eyes are on.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are looking at him as potentially, I've got to say the next big thing. The guy's 6'7", of course he is, but that's I'm happy with that too. I have gone Kieran Tierney.
Well, Scott, you were getting a bit of stick in the comments for not. But Peter says Harry Milne over Kieran Tierney is laughable. Why wouldn't Milne be in the Scotland squad then?
I think Milne's been sensational.
I agree. It's been really good.
He has been sensational, but
and by the way, he's been sensational. Not just at left back. He's been used at right wing in certain games. Hearts went to Ibrox at the start of the season and won. Obviously, Russell Martin was still in charge. Derek McInnes sprung a surprise playing Harry Milne at right wing, and he did. There was tactical reasons for it, but it worked an absolute treat. I think Harry Milne's been brilliant. But
he's not Kieran Tierney.
Well, Rebel says KT definitely, Keith. He'd hardly played. Was unfit until his return. Now he's back to Player of the Year for Celtic for me.
I think he's been good, but he's not played a lot of 90 minutes. Kieran Tierney, has he? I mean, he's come off in a lot of games.
Virgino says he's third in the league for assists overall, Kieran Tierney.
I think his assists
are good, aye.
No, I'm not going to, because I've got actually a line through Harry Milne, because that was my first. I was going to go Harry Milne. Then I thought about it. And this is meant with the best will in the world, because Harry Milne has been terrific, but he's not Kieran Tierney's levels.
Joe writes in, and I agree with Scott, it's beyond me why Clark keeps overlooking Harry Kane. I think he means Milne.
Have we found a Scottish guy?
Right, midfield, Keith.
Midfield, Raskin and McGregor are my sitters.
Yep.
Except I'm going to tell Raskin, don't think you're a number 6, get in front, get 30 yards up the pitch. And I've gone for Elijah Just. I've been more bold than Scotty.
As your playmaker.
He's been brilliant. Scotty said it. Scotty's embarrassed that he didn't put Elijah Just in his starter. Yeah.
No Cammy Devlin in your team. Cammy Devlin.
For the only reason, because I've right up until Cammy Devlin got injured, he was and I said it 2 or 3 times on this show, my player of the year. So yes, I love Cammy Devlin. I think he's been absolutely terrific. I don't think he's back up to full speed, and I think that it's been such a prolonged period for him that, and you'll see that I've got a different argument that I'll make for Lon Shanklin. I'm not contradicting myself, but I'm looking at what's available. And Cammy Devlin, for being out of that long, I think there are other players that I would just say get in front of him. Of course, I've been one of the guys blowing Cammy Devlin's trumpet. What?
That's a revelation.
But yeah, I can't in all honesty sit in this studio and say all the things. So this is the difference between me and you, right? We're sitting in here, we're talking about Callum McGregor, we're praising the guy up to the nines, and then you take him out, it doesn't make your starting 11. So Cammy Devlin's going to be on my bench. And Elijah Just, I'm sorry, but if you're not paying attention, if you've been even remotely playing, kind of just watching Motherwell highlights, even if you don't need to be watching the 90 minutes, if you just watch a highlights package for Elijah Just this season, you should be on the phone to your chief scout going, can we get a full report on this boy? Elijah Just has been, and he's a slippery wee guy. You'd think a strong Scottish gust of wind would knock him over. He has been sensational. What he does on the ball, what he does off the ball, the leading the press, even physically, he rats into stuff. When you look at that, you don't expect it from him. I think he's been a real standout performer.
Could you see him at either side of the Oval?
Yes, all day long.
Okay.
Going to be interesting.
Aye, you think so?
I think so.
Your front 3, Keith?
My front 3. Well, what did I tell you? You've got my formation wrong.
Oh, sorry.
So I want Raskin McGregor, then I want Just and Mikey Moore.
Right, got you.
And I want them playing behind a front 2 of Braga and Shankland. And by the way, my team knocks your team over all day long.
No chance.
So there's Keith's team up on the screen if you're watching. There's Scott's team again.
Come on. Come on. Dan, I know we were trying to be fair and we all love Scott.
See for comedy, I want to wind Keith up, but I do think Keith's team would probably edge that, I think.
Edge it?
I think Mikey Moore and Just. It'd be hard to keep a
what are my attacking options here? I'm killing your defence.
No having it.
Well, there you go. If you're watching at home, who would win?
The reason that we've done that, by the way, is because the SPFL, they're
PFA Scotland.
Sorry, PFA Scotland Players Union. They're announcing their top flight team of the season. So it'll be interesting to see what's closer.
Good debate.
Marty says in the comments, who'd be your best and worst ref of the season? Name and shame. We could be here all night, Marty. I don't know if we want to open that particular clam.
It'll take too long to discuss the best one.
A couple of more comments. Gordon says, surely the Chairmanator has got to be in there. Chermiti? No, for the whole season, eh?
No.
And Marzuno says, when Celtic win the league and cup...
The Chairmanator. Let's not forget his initial nickname was Chernobyl.
Marzuno says, when Celtic win the league and cup, this is going to look strange, considering none of these players have a trophy between them. He's feeling very confident. Green Machine says, Congreve at Dundee has been excellent.
He has. He's one that was on. The two wide men at Dundee have been terrific. And big Ethan Hamilton.
Luke Graham as well.
Luke Graham. Dundee are actually, for me, the best side not in the top 6. I don't know if they'll end up proving that on points, but they've got a lot of good players. Your
loyal Muppet says, Scott, your interview with Butland has been scuppered for not putting him in the team. Gav says, as a Hearts fan, I'd only have Braga and Milne in there. With injury to Devlin and Shanks, maybe just take them out of that squad. Alan says, Yang. Where's Yang? 9 goals this season for him. Second top scorer at Celtic, although not a particularly high bar.
That's a shout. I mean, I've heard people saying the last few days Yang would be their player of the year at Celtic, which is a sentence I never thought
That's
I'd hear.
indicative of the mess that Celtic have got
course it
themselves
is.
into, rather than, Yang has made a big contribution this season. But let's be honest, Celtic fans, you don't want him in your starting 11. And by the way, if Celtic start next season and Yang's a first pick in the starting 11, I'll come back to me then and tell me how happy you are about it.
To me, that proves that the likes of McGregor and Tierney, who are brilliant players, to me that proves they've not been up to their usual standard or level this year. People and Celtic fans are talking about Yang as a player of the year.
Paul's one of a few in the comments saying Yang's far too inconsistent. Ron says Romans has only been there since January. He's the best left back in the league by light years, according to him.
I think he was only brought in January.
You can't put him in.
Couldn't put him in.
And it wasn't even the start of it, it was the end of January.
He looks terrific. He looks terrific.
Aye.
And he's out again.
And if he gets a full season next season, you can bet he'll be making everybody's first 11.
And Peter says Miguel Chaiwa, young player of the year. You heard it here first. He's had another good season linked with Celtic.
I tell you, a player that I wanted to get into my midfield, but I couldn't just do it, was Barlaza.
He's been good.
He's really impressed me. And he's quite quiet in the way he goes about. See his passing range. He's hitting defence splitting passes, 30, 40, 50 yards. He has really impressed me. I think he's one of the most, what I'd say about him is probably the most underrated player in the top flight this season. I think people don't realise just what a talented boy he is.
I've not even mentioned Elliot Watt, who was getting raved.
He was terrific. He's been terrific.
Marzuno wants to know where Scales is. He had a really good start to the season, Scales, I thought, but just not quite maintained it.
You know that I've been speaking up for Scales for a couple of years consistently. I think, like a lot of Celtic players this season, I think he's struggling a bit.
Gav says that Hearts tried to inquire about Elijah just in January. Motherwell literally told Hearts no danger, it was a non-starter. But he says he could see Hearts come back in for them in the summer. Who knows?
Well, Hearts might end up with a few quid to spend for one reason or another.
The last thing, guys, before we wrap up tonight, and if you're watching, let us know your team. We've got a lot of good comments in, but let us know your thoughts. But a couple of people, guys, in the comments asking for predictions for the Scottish Cup semi-final this weekend.
That's tomorrow night's trick.
I know.
Yeah, no.
We might not have Scott.
Right, okay, Scott, you do it.
Scott, we're right in saying predictions.
I'll go for, I think Celtic will get past St Mirren. Falkirk, Dunfermline. Falkirk should win, but I never like writing off any Lennon team.
In a big game.
I think did they not rest like his full
team? Made a lot of changes.
Here they have a plan in place for Falkirk. So I'll go Celtic and Dunfermline. It's two winners.
And you're saving yours for tomorrow night. I'll keep everyone in suspense. Rebel says 2-1 Celtic. Paul says 2-0 Celtic, 3-2 Falkirk. Mark says Falkirk 2-0 Celtic, 3-0. Look, I can't see Celtic beating St Mirren 3-0. Who's going to score 3 goals?
Honestly, I don't think they'll win comfortably. Celtic, man, if they win.
They've played St Mirren a few times this season. They're yet to record a comfortable victory.
I think they'll squeeze through, but it's going to be tough.
And Marzuno's one of a few people saying a Lennon Martin O'Neill final. It'd be like a fever dream. It'd be kind of weird, wouldn't it?
It's just got this season written all over it, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, look, I think that's the perfect note for us to end on. Thanks very much, everyone watching and listening at home. Thanks for all the comments. Massively appreciate it. We'll be back, as Keith says, at 6 p.m. tomorrow night. We hope you can join us then. But for now, Scott, Keith, it was nice seeing you in the flesh for a change.
You back to the remote again?
Back in the satellite studio tomorrow. Hope you can join us. Hope you join us then.
Face mask,
Thanks for watching. Cheers.